What's up, guys? In the works, and we're playing some more Battlefield 3 today, and specifically we're going to be looking at the FAMAS. And you're like, wait a second, didn't we just do a FAMAS video? Well, you know, kind of. We kind of did a FAMAS video. I wouldn't really say it was a true definitive guide to the FAMAS like what we're going to be doing here, but it's one of the weapons that I get asked about the most. And somewhere along the lines, my thermal scope video and my FAMAS video kind of cross paths, and I put the thermal scope on the FAMAS, and that video was boring. But I didn't really get too in-depth about this weapon, and a lot of people ask me, you know, why do you like this? You know, what are the advantages to using a FAMAS? Because a lot of people do see the power that this weapon possesses. I mean, nothing's going to touch it in fire rate. You usually always win your gunfights if you can learn to control the recoil. I mean, 1,000 RPMs, that's pretty hard to beat. Now, a lot of people will be like, well, technically the AN94 can shoot 1,200 RPMs. That's never going to happen, guys. You can't spam your finger fast enough to make the burst fire of the AN94 go 1,200 RPMs. The reason why it's like that is because the first two shots fire pretty much simultaneously out of the AN94. Since the AN94 shoots 600 RPMs, that's where they get the 1200 RPM thing. Now, you could never sit there and just spam your trigger fast, fast, fast. Whereas with the FAMAS, you don't have to worry about that. You can hold down the trigger, you'll get the 1000 RPMs. But if you're a very observant person, you may notice the way I'm firing this weapon is kind of weird. You're like, wait, yeah, it looks like you're bursting it. Well, I've had it on burst fire. I tend to alternate between burst fire and fully auto with the FAMAS. The FAMAS is so deadly with burst fire. It's very, very underrated on this weapon, especially when you have to go outside of really close range. So throughout this video, you'll see me kind of mixing it up between burst fire, between fully auto, and it's something that you really have to just train yourself with. You have to figure out, you know, what situation am I going to want fully auto, you know, which situation am I want to go burst, you know, can I just leave it on fully auto and burst fire? I mean, that's really something you have to think about while you're playing with this rifle, and it's really a thinking man's weapon. I think that's what the FAMAS really is. I mean, it's got the potential to just absolutely destroy people. Even on burst fire, you can spam this thing so quickly that you're not going to lose a lot of gunfights, and the burst really does help you stay on target at longer ranges. I mean, look at that. I just ate through those people really, really quickly, and I didn't even have to put it on burst. I could just burst fire it on my own. So if you can train yourself to fire it fully auto on burst, you know, kind of just sit there and thread it, you won't have to switch between the fire modes. But if you kind of struggle doing that, the option is there, and I think it's really good at making the FAMAS a little bit better at medium to long range. Whereas up close, there's really no competitor to this weapon. Nothing is going to stop it. Now, a lot of people ask me, you know, why on earth do I always seem to seek cover as I reload? Well, that's a very good question. I know it's not a very exciting playstyle, and a lot of people look at that as like, oh, you know, you're not helping the team, you're not pushing up. Well, let's face it, guys, the FAMAS has a slow reload. It's almost 4 seconds. So I tend to take cover as I reload. I mean, that's just the nature of using any sort of these, you know, those bullpup weapons that reload very, very slowly. And look at that right there. I mean, what weapon in the game could really pull that off, guys? I mean, this thing is just an absolute monster. So you do have to think about taking cover while reloading, though, because if you're caught without ammo, you're just going to hurt the team. You're either going to lose a ticket or you're going to lose the position you have. So I find it a lot more advantageous to kind of pull back just slightly, reload my weapon, then pop back out, especially since you've only got 25 rounds in the magazine. Now, a good setup for the FAMAS: flash suppressor, foregrip. Now, you are going to get penalized on hip fire with this. That's just the nature of it. I try not to hip fire the FAMAS. Now, I used to run this thing with laser sight, but I find that the grip really kind of tames that side-to-side recoil, whereas the flash suppressor, it makes it so that the upward recoil isn't so wild. I guess that's the best way to say it. It kind of tames that upward recoil because it does have a lot of different deviations of recoil. So that's something you have to look out for. Now, it does work pretty decently with the suppressor. I've had success with the FAMAS and suppressor. Now, the suppressor does give you a slight recoil reduction, but it's just not as powerful as the flash suppressor. So 9 times out of 10, I go flash suppressor. I have had a lot of success, though, with the suppressor. So if you want to be a little bit more stealthy, the FAMAS is surprisingly efficient in that category. And I don't even like the suppressor. You know, usually I just try to avoid that thing like the plague, but with this particular weapon, it seems to work. You know, the high fire rate, I can usually get my 4, 5, 6 bullets on target quick enough that it doesn't really matter that you have only 25 rounds in the magazine. So even though this weapon is supremely difficult to use, you know, I've had a lot of success with it, guys. I know in my thermal video, a lot of people questioned my choice and, you know, kind of saying that the FAMAS is actually a usable weapon that's that's good. I mean, look at the burst fire there. This is me on burst fire yet again. I'm just picking these people off almost instantaneously at medium range. So the FAMAS is definitely underrated, and I think that it deserved to have its own video because I don't think the thermal video really did it justice. Do you have to play a little bit more passive because of the slow reload, because of the small magazine side? Of course. I mean, that's just the nature of the FAMAS. But can it win a lot of gunfights? Absolutely. This thing is an absolute monster. But I'm going to go ahead and end this video showing you guys some footage of me actually using the FAMAS with the suppressor on it to kind of, put your mind at ease and showing you that it actually is very, very doable. The suppressor really keeps you off radar. It keeps you, concealed. So if you're playing in a scenario where you want to be a little bit more stealthy, the FAMAS actually offers you a pretty complex weapon. I mean, it's got a lot of versatility towards it once you learn how to use it. You have to master that crazy recoil, and you have to master that 1000 RPMs, and if you can master the FAMAS, you can be really successful in this game. So try it out, guys. I know it's not for everyone. It's a thinking man's weapon, but it definitely can get the job done. But if you missed any of my last videos, I actually did a pretty cool review on Arctic Combat, which is a free-to-play first-person shooter, and actually is pretty interesting. Even if you're not a fan of free-to-play shooters, this one is pretty comical. And before that, I actually did a video talking about jets in Battlefield 4, so check those out, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.